What is up, guys? It's Clint. I'm back with another episode of Versus. Man, this tonight is going to be a fun show. We got all four of the Ghostbusters discussion tonight. We're going to be talking about the OG Ghostbusters. We're going to be talking about Ghostbusters 2. Yes. We're going to be talking about Ghostbusters? And we're going to be talking about Ghostbusters Afterlife. That's right. But before we do that, I need to get my homie Curtis in the screen. Where's Curtis? Curtis, weren't you in there? There you are. How you doing, Curtis?
Hello.
What's happening, man?
Not much. I ain't afraid of no ghosts, that's for damn sure.
I ain't afraid of no ghosts either. That's awesome. You having a good week?
Yeah, so far so good, and I'm off for the next week.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It's one of the times of the year where it's great to be a teacher, so
yeah.
I'm all right. Life is good.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I'm excited about this week too. It's my favorite week because I like to eat things. So we get to eat a lot, and that's good news to me. You know what I'm saying? Eating's good.
I've always said, Valentine's is not to be sexist or anything, but a very female holiday. You know, we got to buy stuff for the girls, take them out, give them a nice time. Thanksgiving is the male holiday. We sit around, we eat food we didn't cook, we watch football, and then we take a nap. That's the perfect holiday to be.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we don't work. That's the best part.
Yes, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just eat and like gorge yourself with all this amazing food, and then pass out watching football. It's kind of like my little slice of heaven.
Hell yeah, man. Well, did you you got a chance to? Oh, look at the dog. You got a chance to see Ghostbusters Afterlife?
I did. I took off Thursday to go to my daughter's daycare Thanksgiving feast, and used the time afterwards to catch the early showing of Ghostbusters Afterlife, and we will talk about it later.
Yes, we will. Absolutely. Well, that is cool. I'm trying to see if we got anybody in the chat. What do we got going on in here? Let's see. Your channel. Live. Well, we're on the we're officially live. Yo, I'm gonna respond to you here. We'll see if anybody shows up. Yeah, I just got done with a small screen. That was fun. We interviewed Kurt McLeod. That was
That
cool.
was a damn good show. Yeah, that was a damn good show.
Thanks, man. It really fascinates me talking to creators like that. Like being like that's his job. You know what I mean? Like he sits around and writes stuff, presents it to people, retools it, and just creates a world. And then they turn around and take that and run with it. It's like the baton race. They pass the baton to the director, who has to kind of shape and massage that vision, and then got to get the actors who take those words and then make them. It's like there's so many moving parts, and then when you have a cool movie that comes out of it, it's really fascinating to me. To all of that, you know, it's like,
that's always what I've felt. Like I understand physics and math. That's kind of my thing, but what I mean, not just them as you and a band and stuff. Like what y'all do when y'all create, like understanding how many moving parts are going at once, and putting it into that final vision, the final the final idea in your head, just kind of amazes me. Like because like and when it comes out, sometimes y'all are like, I didn't even really know it was going to go this way, but it kind of did. And like, I don't know if y'all are following the flow or whatever, but like there's so many moving parts, so many different people doing different things, and to put that together and make it make sense, not even be good.
Yeah,
is amazing to me. Like, I don't know how y'all do it.
it's like that with a lot of things. Even like songs, like you were saying and stuff. It's like you could sit here and write a skeleton of a song, and then try and maybe demo it for yourself, and then you take it to the band, and then like musicians put their own flair on it, and then next thing you know, you're recording, and maybe if you would have recorded it yourself, it would have turned out one way, but then a producer or somebody ends up saying, hey, what if you try this, or ends up dialing some stuff in or adding stuff, and it's just next thing you know, this magical thing, and it's super cool. Talking to that guy was really neat, and I had like a long time ago, back when I was touring, and I'd been on House, and I had a talent manager for a while where I was going to try and get into movies and try and get into acting and stuff.
Mhm.
And they got, and then and another friend, another contact of mine, friend I'll call her rather than contact. She got me a bunch of meetings with different offices in Hollywood. Where I mean, I walked into Brookstone Entertainment, which is Will
Mhm.
Smith's production company, and went and sat down with a guy and talked about what I wanted to do, which I had no idea what the hell I was talking about. I was like, yeah, I want to be in movies. I want to act. And he's like, oh, cool. And the only reason is I was Clint Baker from Riddling Kids on Columbia Records who looked good on camera. So they were like, cool, we'll talk. And I was connected with some people. So they just took my meeting. I had all these
Right.
meetings. And I'm like, how the hell would I do that? I just flew out to LA and ended up in like 9 meetings in one day. One of them, which was really interesting. And this friend of mine, I didn't even know what she was setting me up for, but I just
Mm.
kind of like, yeah, I've always wanted to write movies. I've always wanted to be in movies. I've always wanted to do this. And I'm just like, just talking on my ass. But it's like I've always had a huge passion for movies. And next thing I show up to this one office, and I'm like, yeah, I'm starting to get my rehearsed spiel, which is kind of what I do after a
Mhm.
while. I perfect my spiel, and this is like my 5th meeting or something.
Really?
And
What?
and and I'm like, "Hey, I wanna be in movies, blah, blah, blah," and the guy cuts me off, he's like, what we do here is we're not an agency, we write scripts here." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah, that's what I meant, I've always wanted to write movies," and the guy it's like, "Yeah," I was like, "Look, I write songs." I was like, I won't say I'm the creative force. I'm a creative force behind this
Mhm.
band, and I was like, look, I write songs. My mind's always going, and I spend hours when I'm not playing on the road, where I could have a pen and paper and be writing stuff down, and on my laptop I could type up stuff. And he's like, well, look, here's an idea. You need to write. Here's how we'll start it. Give me 10 script ideas. And I was like, whoa. And he's like, you don't have to worry about the whole script. Just
Mhm.
concepts. Like he's like, think of Meet the Fockers. I'm like, okay. He's like, Meet the Fockers. You are a guy who goes to his girlfriend's to his in-laws, and there's an uncomfortable situation and with the in-laws, and that's the concept of the show, and it's a comedy. And
Right,
instantly
right.
we could think about how an awkward guy could get in an
And
uncomfortable
pitch here,
situation at
yeah,
his
somebody
in-laws. You're like,
throws
yeah,
in yeah.
that's what the show's about. Okay, cool. And then give me 10 of those. Just a man gets locked into a shopping mall at night while he was in the bathroom and can't get out, and then a threat ensues. Okay, give me
Mhm.
another one. And I was like, cool. And he's like, and what we'll do is you send me those. I will trash the ones that are not worth messing with. But if there's any gems in there, I'll say, okay, cool. Expand on that idea, and I go, okay, cool. Then I expand, and then after we expand on that, then we'll fill in the gaps together.
Mhm.
And you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about writing all the dialogue. If you got any ideas, for sure. But we could work
Right.
on this as a team. And I was like,
That's
this
pretty
is
cool.
freaking cool. Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
cool, because I mean, I was like, I had so much time on the road
Mhm.
where sleeping, waiting to get to the next town, and I never sent him any ideas. I was just too busy. Well, there was just so many
This
things
is the
going on.
perfect
I
opportunity.
know,
It's like
but
an apprenticeship, and I didn't
I
fucking
didn't
do
even send
anything.
one. Yeah, but dude, at the same time, I'm talking to agents that are like, "Oh, so you want to be an actor?" And I'm like, "Yes, let's do this." And it was a whole bunch of opportunities that
Right.
any normal person who had just come out of film school or was an aspiring actor, just moved to
Would
LA,
be
and
begging for, yeah.
they would have killed me for that opportunity. And
Mhm.
I was just like, it just fell in my lap. And it's just really kind of humorous to me now to look back on a lot of these things that I was living in this weird whirlwind where stuff was just happening all the time. But it is fascinating. Like but because of a lot of those things, I've had a little little look behind the curtain on how certain things work and how suits and things work and all that. And it's really interesting to me to talk to this guy. Find out he wrote a really crazy script, but the suits aren't business people. He's not a trusted name yet, so they're not quite ready to invest a bunch of money into this really good script. But it was good enough to get attention. So then they said, "Hey, why don't you write this test script?" And it turned out to be Cop Shop, which is they're like come up with a concept and like here's the concept. Write this movie. He writes it real quick. And he's like, "Here, hold my beer. Let me write this awesome movie." And now he's a trusted writer because he's got this under his belt. So now they'll take his ideas more seriously. But I think it's fascinating because when he said that, I didn't want to get into the whole "look at me, I've done things" kind of like and try and steal any kind of thunder and be like,
No, no,
look,
but
look but
you're
but
just trying to relate. You're trying to
right,
relate.
but and I
Yeah,
wanted to
yeah.
talk to him about that script that opportunity with that manager because he would have found that interesting because
Mhm.
he's dealing with these people now, and I had a little taste where it just kind of fell in my lap, and I'm a dumbass. It doesn't even. I'm just a dumb musician, you know. So anyway,
Well,
it was
I
interesting.
I I I really enjoyed how he was saying, like, like, force yourself to have deadlines, force yourself to finish because, uh, back whenever I had actually time to think about anything, I would do some writing and stuff like that. It wasn't I never really wrote for a script, but I thought, to write a story or something like that, and, uh, looking back, some of it's pretty terrible. Looking back, some of it was like, "Man, that was a really good idea, though." Like, the execution was bad, but it's just like you get kinda lost and you're like, you just forget about it, and that's the thing, writers, a lot of times writers aren't happy with what they did once they're done with it, but they fucking finished the story. They told the story, and everybody, like other people, were like, "Oh, that was great," and the writer's like, "No, I don't know. I could have done more with it, or this or that." But just finishing, period, is kind of half the battle. Like figuring out or the beginning, the ending, and then fleshing these characters out and doing something with them for 100 pages or whatever it is that you want to do is the hard part. Like, okay, well, I know how I want to start it, I know how I want to end it, but what the hell am I going to do in between? Keeping that train rolling. That's really a hard part. So I did like how he was saying, like, force yourself a deadline, force yourself, like to put words on the page. It doesn't have to be amazing, but get it out there.
Yeah, accountability is half the battle, dude. Like this, I don't know if this is exactly the phrase, but it's like 90% of it is showing up. Is
Yes, yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah,
Accountability is absolutely like if you tell somebody you're going to do it, then
yeah,
then somebody's going to ask like, "Oh, how's that diet going?" And you know what I mean. But if you never mention it to anybody, you'll just screw it, I'll eat this Kit Kat, you know. But
yeah.
that's the different. And my dad always said too. He's like, "There's watchers and there's doers, and like the ones that actually get it done aren't necessarily more talented than the guy who isn't getting it done. It's just their talent is getting shit done, and
Right.
that's
Very
half the
much so.
battle."
No. That's the thing, like, in every job, in every position, every factor of life, there's probably somebody better than you, but they're just not gonna get out of bed and they're not gonna do the footwork. It's there's as much as people think, there are people that are born kinda to do things like, Michael Jordan, and, Arnold, and as much as it pains me to say it, Tom Brady, like, but if they didn't get out of work and or get out in bed and do the work, like, nobody would care. Nobody would know their name. Nobody'd give a crap. Like, you still gotta get out there and you gotta do it. And, you know, I
That
don't but getting out there is scary too. Like, that's that's the thing is getting out there is scary,
and
you
surrounding
know?
yourself with doers is also a like Dustin. Without Dustin around, that's Dustin's superpower, dude. He gets shit done. Like he
Mhm.
absolutely gets stuff done, and both of us were like minded, and and I
Eh
don't know that I would have or could have done it without him. You know what I mean? And
no
you need to have it. You have to have people to accountability. You get two doers that are holding each other accountable. It's even
That's
better.
the
You know.
best well, that's the best partnership in the world, man. Like, obviously, I'm into, working out and stuff like that. I haven't had a good workout partner in years. Like, you have that good workout
Did you say
partner.
obviously? You're like obviously I'm into working out.
Well, I mean, I've talked about it several times. I
Yeah, I'm
mean, I
just
don't
playing.
know if you can tell with
I don't know.
those.
You notice how swole I am, but I'm into working out.
No, no, but
No,
no, but
yeah.
I've probably talked about it several times, but I haven't had a good workout partner in years since pretty much since I've moved, from Austin, but you have that partner, like, and it's just, you can't slack off because the other guy's like pushing you. And when he wants to slack off, you're like, no, man, come on, we're doing great, and it's just that back and forth. And I mean, it keeps you going. It's this driving force. When you can get a partnership or better yet, a team like that,
Oh yeah.
it's the best thing in the world. Like, and you just create good things without, I mean, I'm not without trying, but it's like this team effort. So it doesn't feel so overwhelming. It's just this great feeling.
Synergy.
Don't say that. Don't
Uh,
corporate it up.
yeah. Do we have anybody in the chat? Anybody there? Is it just us? Anybody? It's just us. That's all right. Well, let's see if we got any news this week that I'll start with. And then we'll just jump right into Ghostbusters because I took some notes. I really enjoyed watching these movies again.
I
It's
did. I did as well.
it's like watching the when we watched Beetlejuice the other day. Uh,
Mhm.
God, I really had a good time with that. Really had a good time with that.
Well, and
There's
I did. Go ahead.
oh, go ahead. You did what?
No, I was saying whenever, it's, not in the news topic, but whenever y'all were talking on small screen about, movies and stuff, I've always had this idea, not an idea at all, but I really wanted to see a movie done without any dialogue, and yet the score carries the movie completely, you know? Because if you see a good music video and or a good, trailer, I'm not saying I wanna watch an hour and a half trailer or music video, but, like, where the score can carry the movie, whether it's lyrical or just, instrumental, like, and I think Sucker Punch tried to do that. I don't know if you ever saw Sucker Punch.
I did.
Um,
That was a good movie. It was Zack Snyder.
it it
But
was
it
beautiful,
was like it was a weird movie though.
but it
Definitely.
didn't, yeah, but
A
it
lot of people
wasn't what
hated
I
that
it
movie.
was, yeah, it was kinda the idea I was going for, but it didn't execute it the way I wanted to, like, where it's a full story, but like, you know how a song puts you in a mood and it makes you think of certain things, you know what
Yeah,
I
yeah.
mean? Like, to where the score and the songs drive the movie and the visuals are there almost as backup. Like, and I'd always like to see a really good movie like that. Um and I don't know if it's ever been done.
I feel
I
like
haven't seen if it
well,
has.
all the original movies were silent movies.
No, but I mean, like, not like
Ba-da-ba-da-ba.
like I'm talking about,
Uh,
like, it can be certain songs, pop culture songs, or, whatever, as long as it's driving the film, um, that's fine.
I just
Or
sent you
and it
that link from last week that I forgot that Rajneesh Sharma he sent he that we were talking about last week. He's got a really cool film that's on Vimeo. That's a short film that's just about a couple bumping into each other and seeing each other in a cafe and stuff like that. And I was really impressed. And he's one of the guys that hangs out in our chat a lot. So I
For
was like,
sure.
yeah. And last week,
Yeah, I was actually gonna, I'm glad you brought that up because I was gonna cuss you out a little bit because you
yeah,
didn't
I was
send it
like,
to me last week.
you were just saying that. I'm like, I was gonna be like Rajneesh's film, but yeah, I forgot to send it. But it is funny though. Like, when you deal with strangers on social media and things like that, you have people that are like, "Hey, dude, I make films," or "Hey, I'm in a band, I play music," and there's so many of them are bad that when you get and I'm not saying this like I'm incredible. You probably look at watching this podcast or watching this show and be like, God, Clint sucks. But what I'm trying to say is like over the years, I've been handed a lot of CDs or sent a lot of links for a lot of things. And most of the time, it's aspiring creators and they're still learning. And I'm like, oh, man, this is kind of rough. And every now and then you get one that you're like, whoa, like I had a friend that I had come over to the house that I worked with that was just insistent he wanted to record. And I assumed he was
Mhm.
going to be terrible because because most people are. And like
Yeah.
I don't put myself in situations where I get stuck recording friends because of that. You know what I mean? But he
'Cause
showed
you
up.
don't wanna tell them. Yeah,
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 you
yeah.
don't want to be rude to anybody, but and also I'm busy. Time
Yeah,
is
well, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
what I have the least of besides money, and and he showed up and he
Well,
was like
time is money.
he was good. I was like whoa, and that's a pleasure. And Rajneesh's stuff was fantastic. I was like wow, dude, he really did great. So, um, Yeah. Well, you want to get into Ghostbusters, man? We've drug our feet as long as we can, dude. I don't think we're. It's in the cards for us. I think everybody went to the F1 race or something. I don't even know that there's a race. I think everybody went to go see Disco Wolves, who is Natchez Taylor's band that's about to play here in a little bit.
Oh,
That's
okay,
at 10.
alright.
I actually might make that. Let's see. So, all right, let's start. Okay, gang, at home, it's time to get into some Ghostbusters action. We all know Ghostbusters. We all love Ghostbusters. How could you not? And I'll give you a little overview. What's the synopsis? And I'll give you the screen while I do it. Bam.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yeah, after the members of a team of scientists lose their cushy positions at a university in New York City, they decide to become Ghostbusters to wage a high-tech battle with the supernatural for money. They stumble upon a gateway to another dimension, a doorway that will release evil upon the city. The Ghostbusters must now save New York City from complete destruction. Boy, I really stuttered on that one. Let's see here. Back to the Bakers. What a classic, fantastic movie. I mean, there's so much to say about this movie. First of all, the cast of these movies is what makes these movies, like, aside from a great script, but the cast of these movies does it. And
For sure.
man, I took so many notes on this movie. Like, first of all, this was the OG How I Met Your Mother. They made nerdy they made it cool. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, and there was so much cool stuff. Like so much cool stuff. The cast, we got Bill Murray, Dan Aykroyd, Harold Ramis, Ernie Hudson are the Ghostbusters. You got Sigourney Weaver, you've got Annie Potts, you got Rick Moranis, William Atherton. It's just like the list goes on, and everyone is great in this movie. Like, they're fantastic. What were you gonna say,
Yeah,
Chris?
no, this is like for a lot of those guys, at least to me, and anybody can argue otherwise, but their prime, examples of them as actors and actresses. Like this is, well, maybe not Sigourney Weaver, but the comedian guys. This is very much their magnum opus.
Yeah.
And it wasn't meant to be. Like that's what's great. It was going to be like a one-off thing if you watch the movies that made us for Ghostbusters.
They didn't
Like,
expect a sequel to
no,
this movie at all.
they didn't
Yeah.
expect it. Like they're just kind of like, yeah, all right, let's do it, But I mean, it's just as a kid, and that's the thing. I mean, I'm sure you saw this as a kid. I
Of
saw it as a
course.
kid, and the rewatchability is unbelievable. I've seen this movie. I don't even I have no clue how many times, and rewatching it, like it was just immediate. Like it wasn't like, okay, let me put this on for the show because we got to watch this. Sometimes that's the case with movies, but it was not with this one. It was just like, being a kid again and getting ready for, but and you catch a lot of the humor that you didn't get as a kid, of course, but this is just a great film.
There's so many quotes in all of these. Like, but before we get into all that, like, I'll say, like, the practical effects were really cool. Things
Right,
first of all, there was nothing like this that I
right,
know ever. Like, there was ghost movies, but Ghostbusters, like, what? A bunch of
yeah.
scientists? Like, it was cool. And like, for us, like, I remember also, oh, I have so many freaking notes in this.
Well, in other movies, they would fight the ghost with other magic and shit like that. Like this, this was the first time they were like, "No, you know what? We're gonna science like, good old Matt Damon. We're gonna science the shit out of this, and we're gonna beat the ghost. Like we're gonna win."
Yeah, and like ESP and things like paranormal and things like
Mhm.
that. Me and my friends, we became fascinated in all that. We're like, I want to be a parapsychologist. I want to be, paranormal. Like, and started learning what ESP was and what psychic is and ghost stuff. And like, we're going to Walgreens, not Walgreens, but Walden Book. We were going to Walden Books at the mall, and like,
Yeah,
do,
hell yeah.
do you know how I can get Tobin's Spirit Guide? Which is, like, Egon. I looked for it in Tobin's Spirit Guide, but blah blah blah. And it's like that. Like, it made a for kids. You get into certain like movies where you get sucked into I'll call it the culture of the movie.
Yes.
Like you get immersed in that, and you want to know all about it and learn every detail, and you know more than your friend about it, and all that, and
Mhm.
it just gets fun. This movie was one of those things, and like instantly, me and my buddy Jeremy, we were walking around the neighborhood as kids, pretending to be parapsychologists and pretending we had ESP and like testing each other with cards. Can you see what's behind this card? And like it was fun.
I
Um,
spent my life, pretending that Bobby Anderson was there, and she's here now. Boom, boom,
oh, Bobby, what's
boom.
up? How you doing, Bobby? I think you're the only one, so I'm gonna give you the horn. I know you had it, but uh, no, we'll give you a ding. Yeah,
Hey,
a little
there
ding
we
for
go.
Bobby. But
Bobby,
yeah,
you tell us what sound you want, and you got it.
that's right. Um, yeah, so uh, that's what I loved about that movie. It was completely different than anything else when it came out. I like the part where Peter Venkman is doing the ESP test and he's shocking the shocking the guy, and the girl would get it wrong, and he would let her pass. And
You're
oh,
amazing.
you're
Oh
ama
my
it's his persona, like, his character, he's such a weird, quirky dude, and I feel like he wasn't even taking this movie that seriously. He was just kinda like, "Whatever,
Yeah,
I'm Bill Murray. I'm gonna be cocky Bill Murray." And some of the lines and stuff, the way they're delivered are just hilarious because it's just a weird character, you know?
well, yeah, they were talking about in the movies that made us, they were saying that, like, they didn't even know if Bill was gonna show up half the time. They were like, "We don't know if he's gonna take it seriously." Originally, it was cast for, John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd and, Eddie Murphy, which would have been interesting as well,
Yeah.
but, like, a lot of things fell through, and they got Bill Murray on board, but they're like, up until the day of shooting, we didn't know if Bill was gonna show. Like, he just I mean, he's, he's kind of a weirdo now, but apparently he's always been that way, about just like, "Yeah, I'll take a role or I won't," and, he showed up and, a lot of his things were pretty much ad lib. He just said what he wanted to say, and it made it into the movie. Yeah.
He he's great, dude. There's a lot of really good quotable lines, with Bill Murray. Just yeah,
Mhm.
this is Ghostbusters 2, but it just like I was watching that movie and like, "Oh, come on, there's always room for Jello." You know what I mean? Just like there's
Yeah.
so many lines that he's got that are hilarious.
We got that James guy in the chat as well.
Hey,
Welcome, sir.
James, what's up, dude? Yeah, I was looking at quotes on. I love IMDb because they'll give you quotes. Uh, the whole movie. All right, this chick is toast. Bite your head off, man. Oh, they got roaches. You know what I mean? Like, bite
Well,
your.
one of the ones is underappreciated or, like, I caught when I was older was whenever, he's at, Dana's house or Sigourney Weaver's house, and she's like, "That's the bedroom, nothing happens in there," and he goes, "What a crime." Like
Yeah, he's
like,
such
what?
a kind of a pervy dude. You know what I mean? Like he's really trying to get with
But
the
he's
with
a
the.
lovable perv, he
Yeah,
pulls it off.
it's like
Or
Beetlejuice.
tell you tell me, ladies, maybe he doesn't, but, like
Yeah, yeah. I love when they're like, "Yeah, we were doing fine till Dick was here." Blah blah blah, and they're like,
yeah.
"Is this true?" And he's like, "This man has no dick." That was so good. Yeah, that I love the effects like in the library, the cards are flying out of the card catalog. I was watching that and the use of slime and I just love those 80s movies like the way they did effects and stuff and it's not just CGI
And
everything. It's just some really
and
cool
but it
stuff.
yes, it still holds up. We'll talk about, the other one later, but or the new one later, but even compared to, the 2016 version, like, it just looks better than the CGI, like, it holds up better, it looks more realistic, looks more like what a ghost would look like,
Yeah.
if
And like
I don't
Zool
know.
hands coming out of the chair, and sliding the chair. It was just
Yeah.
neat. Um I love it. What is it? I like the specs, Curtis.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for appreciating me getting older. Uh,
I'll put mine on if you want. Um, but there's other things too in this movie, like the firehouse. is really cool. As a
Right.
kid, I thought that was the coolest thing ever that they were in an old
I
retired
know.
firehouse.
Who wouldn't wanna buy a damn like, that's
Yeah,
the coolest
I would
fucking
love to
thing.
live in a firehouse. If I could make that like a if I could live in one of those, that would be awesome. Um, a recording studio with a podcast studio in a firehouse where I could slide down the pole and just like
Done.
land in the
We're
chair.
done here. Like,
Mhm. I'm out of here. Um,
yeah, so it was, written, by Dan Aykroyd, and Ivan Reitman or no, Harold Ramis helped him rewrite it,
mhm.
and, originally, like, Dan Aykroyd apparently had some, like, alien stuff going on and stuff like that, and, Dan Aykroyd's, family is apparently or was, very much into the, like, afterlife, ghost realm, like, they'd written books about it and stuff like that, and, that's why Dan Aykroyd wanted to write this movie, um, and it's pretty interesting, like, whenever they rewrote it, like, or, they saw it and they really they liked it, but they're like, "It's not gonna work," it's too big or whatever, and when they rewrote it, like, it kinda fleshed itself out, and, they were like, "This is a starting up movie," like a starting a business movie, starting as Ghostbusters movie, and they weren't saying, like, "Look, we're starting a franchise," 'cause really didn't, like, they thought it would do okay,
Mhm.
but, like, it became this huge thing, and it's interesting how, they went from something grandiose to something small that became something grandiose, like, I don't know.
It's awesome. Like you're definitely right. The whole movie is world building, as they say.
Mhm,
And like introduction of proton packs, the containment unit,
mhm,
the PKE meter, all that stuff. It was
mhm,
just like super cool. I like seeing that stuff in Afterlife, which we'll get into in a little bit. But like seeing
mhm.
all that stuff, it was really neat. And just
But it
every
but
Good.
Well, I was just gonna but it wasn't forced world building. They were just doing it to tell a good story, they weren't, like, trying to create this, megaverse or whatever,
Yeah, they were
that's just
start
kind of
like
the
you said, they were starting
Yeah,
a business, so they're like, "Well,
yeah,
yeah, so check it out. I got this proton pack. Don't cross the streams, by the way, but like
mhm,
this is how we can entangle the ghost. This is a trap,
right.
and this is a ghost detector. Essentially, it's like they just very casually explained all their tools and and they didn't even know what the hell they were doing when they
Right.
walked in to bust the ghosts. They're like, "Cool, we started this business. We're gonna go in and okay, cool. They
Basi
figured it out. Destroy everything and
Yeah,
catch the ghost."
go in and try to not to set your building on fire, like
Yeah. Uh, Slimer was good. Slimer, captured everyone's heart.
Mhm.
Like because he wasn't really a scary ghost, but I feel like the cartoon. You really get to fall in love with Slimer. I don't know if when you were
I
a kid,
agree.
if you watched
Yes,
the
for sure.
Ghostbusters cartoon, Slimer was the best.
Yeah, and I had the toys and stuff like that. I tried to actually stream that, but it's on I don't know what it's on, but it was on Netflix for a while. And me and my kids watched a few of them. The real Ghostbusters.
He was like the Orko or Snarf of
Very much, yeah.
of that show. But yeah, and
Um,
and the voice of Peter Venkman was the guy who did Garfield, so it was like,
yeah, yeah, he was.
well, another cool thing about Ghostbusters was Dana Barrett and Janine. Those are two of my favorite characters. Like, Janine was such a weird, nerdy character because she was so weird and awkward, Janine, but also super hot. Like I was like, I don't know about you. I was like, dude, Janine's awesome. Hi there.
Do you like Ghostbusters?
Yes.
M-
Yes.
Me too.
What's your favorite one?
The boy one and the girl one.
The boy one and the girl one. She likes the boy one
All
and the girl
right.
one.
I like them both
Uh,
too.
he likes them both too. All right, go back inside. All right. Thank you for your commentary. Can I have a little kiss? All right.
Yeah, Yeah, Janine is like such a weird, eccentric, awkward character, but she's hot. Like I always had a
Yeah.
crush on Janine. Always, I always thought she was a really cool character. But something I like about Sigourney Weaver in in these movies is that she's a vulnerable character
Mhm.
who's like she's smart and cultured, and lives in a penthouse and is a cellist and all that, but she's vulnerable, and we're used to seeing her be such a badass as Ripley in Alien, that to see her in this flip-flopped role where she needs a knight in shining armor is kind of cool, you know what I mean? It's a different
It is.
perspective.
Well, and I think that you're right, I think that may have been what made the character of Dana so strong is because I if they had chosen someone who had shown, like, that like, basically, I beat a fucking alien, like, I'm not scared of no damn ghost, you know what I mean? Like, if we didn't know her as that character, like and it may have, helped her career as well because it's like you got to see these alternate sides of her, um, like it might not have worked so well, but whenever you imagine her as, badass Ripley, and then now she's and that's the thing, she never played a frail person or anything like that, but she was like any normal human being, just, like, scared, like, "Something's going on in my house, I didn't like, this is freaking me out," um, and, like, it just really worked well, it was like a juxtaposition that made it perfect for that character, and again, like, it probably helped her career too, like, being in these 2 completely I don't know about completely opposite, but, like, alternate roles where, she wasn't saving the day, like, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, "Hey, let's get Linda Hamilton to come in and play this
Yeah.
this
That would've been great. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
this pretty sweet lady who needs help. Can you can
Mhm.
you can you twist the pickle jar lid off of this for me?" Like, bullshit, I'll break these pickles. Yeah. No, and also
Fuck pickles. Fuck the fuck out of pickles.
Rick Moranis is one of the most genius characters ever. Like, I don't know what I need to go back and watch that Movies That Made Us again. I don't know what they had to say about his contribution to that role, but it's the one of the best
The
characters in cinema ever. Like it's such a like his subtlety, the little extra things, even when it's like
Mhm.
about to move to the next shot, he'll at the last minute trip over something or just
Mhm.
whatever.
Yeah.
There's so many subtleties in that character. Go ahead. I didn't mean to ramble.
No, 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 originally, they were saying in the movies that made us that was written for John Candy, and, I think John even went in and, kinda did a couple, things or whatever, but, just, like, and they even show the storyboards, and, it was drawn for John Candy, um, but, yeah, then, Rick Moranis came in and did his thing, and they're like, "Oh, man, this is it. This is the guy." Like, like, he just got it, and yeah, he's perfect. He gets locked anytime he walks out of his door, he gets locked out of his apartment. It's just great. He's like, "Oh, I invited all my clients because it's just a tax write-off." "Yeah, that's why you invited them, buddy. Like, not my friends because" like, so
What's hilarious too, I heard too that he used to do taxes and things. He'd been an accountant or something like that in his career. So he knew
I
a
can
lot
see
of
that.
he like they're like he knew all the right terms, and he would like ad lib a lot of stuff that worked, which is
I
hilarious.
believe it. I
Yeah,
believe it.
I love his character, and I forgot how great he was in watching these movies again. I was like, dude, I was too young to realize the subtleties that he's bringing to the
Mhm.
table. I just thought he was some nerdy guy, but there's so much that he brings to that character. And speaking of characters, Ernie Hudson as Winston. I love that character because he's not a parapsychologist. He's not a nerd. He's just an everyday Joe that's
He's
like,
the
hey,
working
he's
man's
just a dude,
Ghostbuster.
and he's just. I'm
Yeah.
like, hey man, I need a job. Do you guys pay? Okay, cool, I'm in. And then he's like, what? Like all of a sudden he just gets dropped into this weird ass world of things he's got to do. But
Well, and originally he had, a lot more lines, and, a lot more, he was a much more fleshed out character in the first one. Um, and then, movies happen, life happens or whatever, and he got, he was still in the movie, but he didn't come in until much later,
Mhm.
and then a lot of his lines got cut, they're saying, um and he wasn't happy about that necessarily, but, it,
It
definitely
does
was a
happen, and they
yeah.
cut they cut movies down. It's like uh they just do. You know what I mean? They
And
cut movies down.
well, and you gotta expect it, if you're in a movie with, Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray, and, I don't Harold Ramis had been in some stuff, but anyway, like, Harold
Bill,
Ramis doesn't have a bunch of, killer lines or anything like that, although he's awesome in the movie.
yeah.
Uh, you're the new guy, you're gonna get cut more than anybody else, but, yeah, always liked his character too because he was like he was the one that I could identify with probably the most, as a kid. He was like a working man. I'm like, all right, let's go to work.
Yeah, he's hilarious. I don't even remember if it was the first or the second one, but they're in a old railroad tunnel, and Dan Aykroyd is like messing with him. The rats, they're huge, and like it's like, man, quit talking about it. They're like intentionally trying to scare him, and I thought that was really funny.
Yeah, that was in part two.
So, um, yeah, so we get in there, and we end up with eggs frying on the countertop
Mhm.
at Dana's house. They get Bill Murray. Much to her dismay, Bill Murray has to show up to her house because he's a creeper, total creeper. Shows up to her apartment, and
Of all the people, so Egon has several PhDs in physics and this and that and the other, and Ray is obviously an engineer. And he's got a degree or doctorate in psychology and parapsychology,
mhm.
which has, you know, like,
He's like, I'll check this out.
yeah,
Well, I love. He goes over and they introduce Zool and Gozer and all of these things in her refrigerator, and which is crazy. And I wonder how much digging they did. I didn't get a chance to go look and see if Gozer is
right.
based on real Sumerian god or if they just made that shit up.
Yeah, I was wondering about that myself. I wanted to do some digging on that as well. But
It's only so many hours
so
in the
we
day.
should probably move on.
so so yeah, so we got Zool, and then we got basically Zool and is the gatekeeper, and then Lewis becomes the keymaster. So these are
Mhm.
two gargoyle-esque looking things that are needed to come together to bring Gozer, the an old basically god, evil person, back into the world, be reborn in a new body. So they need to create a vessel. So you end up with Lewis and Dana as the gatekeeper and the keymaster, and the Ghostbusters have to save the day. That's the long and short of it. What's funny is that this movie doesn't really get too in depth on anything. They just introduce what it is, and it's just straight to the point. Straight to the point. You know what I mean? They don't linger around. They're
Right.
like boom, 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 over. Movie's over. They're like, before you know it, they're on the rooftop of this building, blasted them, and they dropped the wisdom at the beginning of the movie, don't cross the streams. Spoiler
Mhm.
alert. And then at the end, they're like, crap, what are we going to do? Okay, let's cross the streams. Bam! It's like they put a ribbon on it. Bam, it's over, and they save the day. And of course, you have the most iconic. When all of this is happening, Gozer says, "Okay, I'm gonna send your destruction now," and they're like, "Everybody,
You
clearly."
you choose your destruction.
Yeah, and so they're like, "Don't think of anything. Everybody, clear your mind." And you go, "Uh-oh." And Ray, of course, thinks of one of the most iconic things ever, which as a kid I thought was the Michelin Man, but it was the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man shows up, huge marshmallow, and as a kid it felt like the scene lasted way longer too.
It
All
really did.
all of
Yeah,
that,
like
and then all of a sudden, boom, there's marshmallows all over New York City. As a kid, the idea of a giant marshmallow getting blown up and then ending up all over the city, and they gotta clean marshmallows off buildings and cars. That was the coolest thing ever.
that was so awesome. And now it's like that would be a nightmare.
hmm That was so crazy, but it really was one of the most insane things. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, that scene, like you said, it lasted so much longer. And that's the thing. A lot of the, as a kid, a lot of the dialogue gets missed. As an adult, like you realize how, like, because I'm watching it with my kids, and I'm like, watch, oh, here it comes, like the ghost scene, and like, it's just so quick, or it goes by so fast. I mean, they still loved it, but it's not. It feels disappointing. But it's just because you're older and you've seen it bazillion
Mhm.
times. For them, they're still like, wow, what the heck. And it still definitely holds up. I mean, this is and like you were saying about the pacing is almost perfect. I mean,
Yeah. It's
you know
almost too fast, but it ends up just being exactly the
right.
right pacing.
Mhm.
And I also like the non-believers. You know, you always have people in power that feel threatened by mysterious things. So you get the guy from the EPA comes in and is like, "Oh, I'm gonna shut you down. You're an imposter," and then comes back with a court order, and then shuts down the containment unit. The containment grid or whatever it's called, and releases all these ghosts. They've been doing a good job. They're becoming rock stars. The whole world loves
Yeah.
them. They're getting money. They're doing great. They're keeping all these threats at bay and doing all these great things. And then this dipshit comes in and shuts down the where they keep their ghosts and unleashes all hell to the world. So it's of course it's always some non-believer bureaucrat douchebag that ends up screwing everything up.
Yeah, that's the way it goes.
That's the way
It's
it goes.
funny. It's funny to me that they made the EPA the bad guy. I wonder if like that's why so many people in the US are against the EPA like nowadays, like, "Oh, they fucked over their Ghostbusters, like, get them out of here, ah."
Huh, I like also. There's a quote: "Back off, man. I'm a scientist." That was a good one. "Bite your head off, man" was another good one with the roaches. I said earlier, and then they're
Yeah.
like, "Do you have any hobbies?" And Egon's like, "I collect spores, molds, and funguses."
Heck
Pretty
yeah.
hilarious. Yeah. Well, yeah. You got Peter and Bill Murray is quirky and weird. And you got
Mhm.
Ray is innocent and nerdy, almost childlike. And then you got Egon, excuse me, is the straight man. He's all straight science. And then you got Ernie Hudson, who's Winston's the normal dude. You got Janine is a sexy nerd weirdo who kind of seems like she's into Egon. And then Lewis is super awkward nerd. And then these are all the notes I took when I was watching. And then Dana, different look at Ripley is what I wrote on that. So it's just all those characters. They all brought a different spice, and that's what you get in good
Absolutely.
movies. On that other stream that we were on earlier today, talking to that guy about Cop Shop. That's the deal in that movie. Every character in that movie was interesting, and that's what makes the movie. You know, that's what you
Yeah,
get in.
and you don't just throw them in there so that they're in there, which is what we'll talk about later. But every character has a role within the film, and otherwise they're just side characters or extras. And that's what makes the movie good. You follow the main characters and the side characters, not just other random people in the film.
And let's get now into so Gozer is defeated.
Vanquished.
Yeah, Zool is taken care of, and Gozer's vanquished. They saved the day. The Ghostbusters did it.
Yes.
Bam! Then we got Ghostbusters 2. The spy who shagged me. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna go. Bam. All right.
So
So
I don't.
let me read the synopsis real quick, the description, just for those who haven't seen Ghostbusters who are from space. Like James is waiting to binge this. I haven't seen Ghostbusters 2 yet. I'm waiting. That's his story on
we, ha-
anything.
we haven't gotten that in Canada yet.
I'm
Canada's about
I'm
like 60 years behind the U.S.
I'm still waiting to see that one. Don't spoil it. Ghostbusters 2, having lost their status and credibility 5 years after covering New York City with Marshmallow and Ghostbusters 1984, the once famous band of spirit hunters find themselves struggling to keep afloat, working odd jobs. However, when Dana Barrett and her baby, Oscar, have yet another terrifying encounter with the paranormal. It's up to Peter Venkman and his fearless team of supernatural crime fighters. Hey, that's still Bill Murray stealing the show right there. Crime fighters, I'm just kidding, to save the day. Now, once more, humanity is in danger as rivers of slimy, psychoreactive ectoplasm and the dreadful manifestation of evil 16th century Vigo the Carpathian threaten to plunge the entire city into darkness unless the selfless Ghostbusters take action. Can they save the world for the second time? I think they can, because I've seen the movie. I love Ghostbusters 2. I might even like Ghostbusters 2 better than Ghostbusters 1. It might be because I was a little older and already knew about Ghostbusters. But I love Ghostbusters 2.
I am right there with you. Like Ghostbusters 2 hit at just the right time, and I had seen it like as much as I've seen Ghostbusters 1, Ghostbusters 2 I've seen a bazillion times because it was right at the time when cable was hitting and all this stuff like that. It was on all the time, and we would always watch it. And it's I would say it's probably more kiddie, maybe, but it like and my kids enjoy it more. But it's just there was a lot of negative reception for it for some reason.
Really?
Like it wasn't like I don't know, like when it came out, it wasn't loved. I mean, everybody went and saw it, and it wasn't like booed or anything like that. But people were like, well.
This is something to think about, though, because like the kids liked it, and what's funny is we were the kids back then,
Right?
So we were the kids, and then there was a bad reception. It's almost like the sequel trilogies for Star Wars, where everybody hates them, but the kids that were alive at the kid age when those movies came out, I've said this before, in 10 years when they're about to go to college, they're going to be like, dude, bro, Kylo Ren is the best. You know what I mean? And I'm like, no, he's not. I mean, he's cool, but he's not the best.
Like what the fuck are you talking about?
Totally better than totally kick Vader's ass. Like, dude, you're gonna get your butt whooped. Like, dude, whatever.
By then you're gonna be like, I'm gonna fuck you up, motherfucker.
But
some like buff fucking like 20-year-old college kid.
But all of us older people that are writing articles and doing podcasts and stuff are like, dude, this sucked and blah blah blah. But the kids are like, no way, that's the best one. It's funny how like and like you and I will find ourselves in a coffee shop one day, talking like, man, this new music nowadays, it's not even music. These blah blah blah. Back when I was a kid, they did great music, but now it's just a bunch of noise. You know what I mean? And I'm like, hey, I remember the grown-ups saying that. It's like, Ben, are we just all getting old? Are we just boomers now, dude? We don't get it.
That's a whole different conversation.
Like we got Ghostbusters 2. We got it, and nobody else. The older people didn't get Ghostbusters 2. They didn't like it.
But I mean,
but we got it, and we love it. And we
still
love
wasn't like, I mean, it wasn't like hated or anything, but like it just didn't have this as or I don't know, but like whenever you get, because Ghostbusters was in '86, Ghostbusters 2 was in '93, so 7 years later, or so. Whenever you got a movie like that and making it live up to the expectations of a sequel like that far off, it's kind of hard, I mean, Terminator knocked it out of the box.
Yeah.
But like it's really hard to do. And it was more kid driven. Hey Raj,
What's up, dude? We were just bragging on your film. I sent Curtis the link, so I'm glad the short film that you sent me on Twitter. I forgot to send it to him, so we were just talking about that. But yeah, it's good to have you with us. We're talking about Ghostbusters. We just went through and just talked about how creative and like a new concept Ghostbusters was when it came out. It was totally different than all the other stuff out there. The cast was magical. The pacing was perfect, straight to the point. Boom, boom, boom. They did great world building without stuff getting shoved down your throat or being long and drawn
And
out. It was just a perfect
there was
movie.
never a point where you're like, this is just exposition.
Yeah.
Like, like, okay, all right, thank you, but it's just exposition. It was just like, here's a story piece by piece.
Yeah.
And all the pieces fit.
And all the characters were great. And I would also mentioned what else? I thought it was cool that Sigourney Weaver is a more vulnerable character because she is such a badass and alien. And then you got Rick Moranis' character Lewis was awesome. Winston, the everyday man, and then all of the Ghostbusters are great. And Bill Murray leading the charge as the quirkiest, weirdest dude ever. He's amazing. And then you got Ghostbusters 2, which is pretty much the same cast of characters, except you also have Janos, who's played by Peter McNichol, and Janos is a weird, quirky museum guy that restores. That's Dana Barrett's boss and restores paintings. Then you have her baby. Is another character, I guess. He doesn't have any lines, but he crawls around a lot. And that's pretty much the difference from the first and the second one. It's just you had them added, but then you have one of the most important characters, one of my favorites, Vigo the Carpathian, the cast member who lives in the painting and is awesome. And I love, oh Lord Vigo. I love that whole thing. I love Vigo the Carpathian. I think he's cool. I love how Ray gets stuck. Deer in headlights gets.
And it fits his character. It's perfect.
Does.
Like,
it's so good.
I love when Janusz is like, yes, the sorrows. Yes, I've heard this before. Yes, the suffering. Okay, yes.
His character was extraordinarily creepy too, as far as like trying to get into Dana's apartment. You know what I mean, and all that. Just everybody's making passes at Sigourney Weaver in this movie.
I mean, that makes sense too. Like,
yeah, I mean, yeah. What are some good quotes for this movie?
The best quote is, "Who you gonna call? He-Man."
Oh yeah, that was really funny. They're broke. They're resorting to doing kids' birthday parties and bar mitzvahs. You know what I mean? It's like it's a sad time for Winston and Ray. Peter Venkman got a gig doing a TV show. Like what?
Well, she even says in the first one, she was like, "They're scientists. You remind me more of a talk show host, or a game show host." And he's like, "Huh."
Yeah, I like there's a bunch. It's late. I think we should put him down. May I? Yeah, if you want to. You're short, your belly button sticks out too far, and you're a terrible burden on your mother. I also love to, in this woke modern age, he does a lot of like mansplaining and things in these 80s movies. It's pretty funny, but to where it's like the prosecutor says, "So you're saying the supernatural is your exclusive province?" And he goes, "Kitten, I think what I'm saying is that sometimes shit happens. Someone has to deal with it. Who are you going to call?" Yeah, and everybody's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Yeah." But I feel like they really did a good job with the one-liners in this movie.
Mhm.
They did. I think there's mention of a franchise. He says something about a franchise, and it's almost like he's making a joke about a franchise for the movie.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? It's like,
for sure.
yeah, and I love that they changed the logo on Ecto 1 to having a 2 and all of that. They just ran with it. They're like, "Okay, let's sell some action figures. Let's do this." Like,
well, my favorite scene, which I've rewound and played for my wife several times to her annoyance, is the scene where Sigourney Weaver cleans up for Peter Venkman, and he's like, "Did you see some shirts like on the floor?" And she was like, "Yeah, they were dirty, so I put them in the hamper." And he's like, "No. Like women is like clean or dirty." He's like, "Men have like several levels of clean and dirty." He's like, "See this? You hang this outside the window for like 20 minutes, you're fine."
Yeah.
It's like, exactly. Like like when it's dirty, you'll know it's dirty. Like to me, that's clean.
yeah,
Like
that's so
just
good. That's
yeah,
so
like
accurate too.
exactly. Like
For a bachelor,
just
yeah, that's real. That's real.
yeah, just hang it in there while I'm taking a shower, and it'll be fine. Like it'll steam off. Like it'll be okay.
I also love when they turn the proton packs on and it's like do re
Right.
egon. Yeah,
Egon.
that was a good one. Uh, and again, I said earlier, my favorite is like, looks like a giant Jello mold. He's like, I hate Jello. He's like, oh come on, there's always room for Jello. It's like any quirky one liner that that Bill Murray had was always just on fire. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
they just nailed it. Yeah.
he's the man. Yeah, and so what did you think of Ghostbusters 2 versus Ghostbusters 1?
I mean, I don't know, man. Like I, like I think they work perfect in tandem. Like I think they were. I think it was a good direct sequel. Like, and again, like there was some backlash. It wasn't like this huge uproar, but there was some backlash, um, and that's obvious, which we'll talk about later. But like I loved both of them, man, as a kid, and 2 stuck with me more. I
Yeah,
watched it more. It was that was my probably more my Ghostbusters movie. Um, but
the
you
psychoreactive
know,
slime is
yeah, and
awesome too.
that was so cool. Yeah, that was such a cool idea. Like feeding off of, and it had a good, that's thing. It had a good positive message. About like the world reacts to your negativity or your positivity. Like so,
And the mayor's like, if the citizens of New York want to be asshole, I basically paraphrasing, but want to
yeah,
be
yeah,
assholes, that's their right or whatever,
yeah, yeah.
uh, which is a huge '80s stereotype, like
Right.
of New York. Like I've been in New York several times, and I actually really like the people in New York. I've had some occasions in Boston that felt more like New York than New York, where people would look like they wanted to just kick my ass for saying good morning. I'm like, what's wrong? I holding the door open for somebody. They're like, you know, New Yorkers have always been cool with me, but yeah, most Boston people too. But most people in general are pretty cool with me,
Yeah, of course.
I
I mean,
guess.
there's assholes everywhere, you know.
Yeah. Well, let's get into we've talked and like if you haven't seen Ghostbusters 2 yet, and like, come on, man, like go watch it. It's good. So same kind of thing. Evil spirit from the past needs a new vessel to come in, and so they try to get Dana Barrett's baby. And they finally get it, and then she runs after the baby, and then the Ghostbusters show up and save the world, and they have to figure out a way to do it. But instead of having an iconic Marshmallow Man, they coat the Statue of Liberty in psychoreactive slime and get it going. And what a fantastic cheerleader for New York City.
Mhm.
And then next thing you know, they got they've rallied the citizens of New York, and the good vibes of the citizens of New York City is what hurt Lord Vigo the Carpathian, and saved the day. So the people of New York are the heroes of this story.
That's
And
true. That's
yeah,
damn true.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was good. Uh, uh, and then we have Ghostbusters. It's not
2016.
Ghostbusters 3. It's Ghostbusters the reboot. So let me get my we'll call it Ghostbusters 2016. The reboot. Answer the call. What did you make of that Ghostbusters? Did you watch that one this weekend also?
I did.
I saw it during the apocalypse when I was home for a couple of months, and that's when I saw it. I didn't rewatch this one. I didn't had too many things to watch this week, so I
Mhm.
saw all the others. But what did you make of that one?
Well, so this one, so
I sound like Edward. What did you make of that, Clint? Clint.
well, it wasn't absolutely brilliant, but uh, like when it came out, so many people were so many people were against it. Like it was like a big kind of a deal, which like they've rebooted so much shit. And I know for some people, Ghostbusters is holy ground. I love the shit out of those movies, but like it's going like I don't know why people don't live in the real world. It's going to happen. If it's a popular franchise, it's gonna get rebooted, guys. Like it's just gonna it's like get ready. Like you're living in fantasy land. Um, but and so many people were against it and hadn't seen it, and I just hadn't seen it because I didn't necessarily have an interest. Like it seemed it, okay, they're rebooting Ghostbusters. I don't like reboots in general. I'd rather watch the original. Like I still haven't seen the Nightmare on Elm Street reboot. Just a lot of them I haven't seen because it's like you can the if we lived in a world where the originals weren't readily available, then that's different. But then I bought the collection of the Ghostbusters, and this one was in there, so I was like, all right, we'll watch it, and I really didn't mind it like the first time, and I still didn't mind it this time. It was to me the first viewing was better. You know, it wasn't as good the second or maybe third time around. Um, but it, I was fine with it. It definitely felt like a Ghostbusters movie. It felt like they were going with the same atmosphere. They were definitely um, cramming Easter eggs in there, or like doing fan service. But other than that, I really don't know what the huge problem was besides people going, "Oh, it's the feminazis trying to take over. They're trying to turn our Ghostbusters into women." Blah 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 blah. Like I just didn't really understand what the whole hubbub was about.
There was a big hubbub. It's like they redid Total Recall.
Yep.
Yeah, they redid Judge Dredd. They redo all these movies. I think I don't know, man. It's weird. Well, they redid the movie, and it kind of almost felt like it's like, is this an extension? No, this is a completely different reboot. This is a whole new reboot,
Right.
different universe, I guess we'll say. And then you had like cameos from people that were in the original. Like you'd have Bill Murray or Dan Aykroyd show up, but they're not playing. They're not playing Ray Stantz or Peter Venkman. You know what I mean? They're playing a different guy.
Right.
They did acknowledge Egon Spangler, which I'm like, dude, you shouldn't even acknowledge Egon unless you're gonna be a bunch of scientists that are getting into paranormal stuff, and then you're gonna reference these other guys as like you're in the same world as them, which they did reference Egon, but then they don't really talk about their ghost busting or anything like that. So it's kind of awkward. Do you know what I mean? Like it like it's like either
Yeah.
like, hey, this is a different universe where the original Ghostbusters didn't exist, and we're the ones who figure out how to contain ghosts and how to do this,
Mhm.
or it's related to that universe, and it's just like, hey, we're a different set of scientists who also have to bust ghosts, and we found our way to do it. We maybe got some tips from some of the Ghostbusters, but it's not like that's not how they did it. You know what I mean? Like in the comics, you have superhero groups that are we're a superhero group. We're different than this superhero group who's on the opposite coast, and we're just also doing the same thing. It could be like
Mhm.
that, and maybe they give them a phone call. Hey guys, we're trying to figure out. Well, have you tried the blah blah blah? You know what I mean? Like, but it's just an awkward feeling thing that they did. And I'm not saying that's the reason for everybody to be pissed off about it. I don't care what the genders are. I don't think it has anything
Yeah.
to do anything. But what I do think is it's just kind of clunky and awkward. Like, okay, I understand cameos and tipping of the hat to the OGs, you know what I mean? But it's like
Yeah.
you're making the storytelling weird. Like, okay, is that supposed to be? Wait, is that Peter Venkman? Is Peter Venkman? No, that's just Bill Murray. He's not Peter
Mhm.
Venkman. It like takes you out of the movie, you know? And hey, they just did a Egon reference. Is that wait? So
I
is
mean,
this supposed to be related to that other story or not?
I don't think, and I don't know why they didn't expect this, but like that, nerds like us would be sitting around dissecting it whenever they made it. But
Yeah.
but I mean, it could be in an alternate universe where Egon is still a highly respected physicist or whatever, and
It just never got into
created
ghost busting.
just didn't, get into ghost busting, so they followed his stuff. Yeah, but like a lot of the stuff I really liked about it. There wasn't really anything that like I hated about it. Like that's what I mean. There was just so much fucking hate. Like I mean, even some of my favorite YouTube people like James Rolfe for AVGN. I used to watch him all the time, and he was like, "I'm just not gonna watch it. I'm just not gonna watch it." And I'm like, like, I mean, I'm like that. What I'm that way about movies. But after I saw it, I was like, I don't really,
What's the big hubbub? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, but again, Ghostbusters some people have holy ground movies, and but honestly, like for me, that would be Conan the Barbarian, and I watched the Conan the Barbarian remake. It just wasn't that good. Fine, but like it's not gonna stand up to the original. It's just not. Um,
I feel like
and
Goonies. If you redid Goonies, people would be like, "What?"
yeah, they probably. I mean, but it's coming. That's what I mean. Like,
Well,
get ready.
it's called Stranger Things 4.
Well,
Yeah. Or Ghostbusters Afterlife, however you.
yeah, yeah.
I really love
You
Kate.
beat me to it.
Yeah, I really love Kate McKinnon in the movie. She was
nailed it.
She was the Bill Murray of the movie. Like she
Mhm.
stole the show, and I couldn't stop watching her. I was like, I love this woman. She's fantastic.
And
She's great.
And that's what was great about her character, because they didn't like they mixed up the characters too, because she was like the Egon / Venkman. Like she was the brains and the personality of the film.
Right.
Like so it's like they took Venkman and Egon and put them together. And then the other character, they still had the working man character with that other lady, and
Melissa McCarthy or Leslie Jones?
I guess Leslie Jones.
Yeah.
Um,
Kristen Wiig is always really good too. She's
is.
Solid in this.
And she actually played more of the Egon role without. I mean, I guess she was smart, but not Egon smart.
Right.
Caitlin McKinnon definitely did the Egon smart stuff. But like it was, just a pretty darn, a bunch of CGI ghosts. You can't expect, much else in nowadays. But it was just
Chris Hemsworth as the
Thor kind of stole the show,
Janine?
man.
Yeah,
he kind of really did. He really kind of stole the show. Like, yeah, boss, what is it? And the phone's like ringing right next to him. Can you answer that phone?
Yeah.
He's like, sure thing, boss.
Yeah, he was good.
He really did kind of steal the show there, and then he became the big bad at the end. Spoilers, but like.
Yeah, I'd say it was solid. I was entertained with the show, and again, I could watch Kate McKinnon, do laundry and have a good time. She's hilarious. Everything she does, she's something about her is very. She's just got a lot of charisma. I always enjoy any skit, anything. Anytime I see her hit even credit card commercials, I'm like, all right, Kate McKinnon. I just like her for some reason. But yeah, it was good. And we had all these cameos in it, and it was solid. Again, it was just weird. Like the whole thing to me was weird, that I was like, okay, we're just retelling the story from a different perspective. Like it was just like, it seemed forced. Like, okay, we're just going to retell the same story but make it different. Okay, I guess they call that a reboot, which is what it was. It was the Ghostbusters reboot.
Now, I agree. Fair enough. But remember that you said that, because we're going to come back to that.
To a different kind of reboot. Now we're going into this now. We're going to
real quick.
Oh,
so of all of these, go ahead.
One thing I never talked about, and hold that thought, is the music. Ray Parker Jr.'s Ghostbusters.
Great. Yeah, well played. Good. Go ahead.
Yeah, we didn't mention that. Ray Parker Jr.'s Ghostbusters theme was they hit up Huey Lewis to try and get him to do this song. He didn't want to do it. And I guess he'd already done The Power of Love. He had already had the Back to the Future stuff. But they're like, hey, we want you to do this song. He wasn't having it. Then they contacted Ray Parker Jr. and we're like, hey man, we need you to make a song that sounds like Huey Lewis. Basically, it basically sounds like I want a new drug. One of the that song. I want a new drug.
Yeah,
drug.
It really does.
One break down.
I guess I did
Ghostbusters. Want a new truck. It's the same song.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
If I accidentally said new truck, it's because Weird Al does a version of that song. I want a new truck. So that might have just slipped. But it's the same stinking song with some badassery. When I say badassery, I'm talking about when you get into the it's just classic, dude. I ain't afraid to know ghosts. Then we got Ghostbusters 2 that's got
Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Was
too
it
hot to
Bobby
handle,
Brown?
too cold to hold. And then you
call
also
the Ghostbusters in your head control.
but you call the Ghostbusters. No, that's who you call. Run DMC,
Yeah.
Ghostbusters. That was awesome.
Yeah.
And then there was something else too, but I don't remember the third one. Doesn't matter. But yeah, but it's still, those are very timely, dude. Those take me back to like junior high. But Ghostbusters theme song is iconic, is forever.
For
Like
sure.
that is a forever song. So I don't want to move on to Afterlife without referencing those songs, because those are
No,
really
and I'm glad
important.
no, I'm glad you brought it up because that's the thing. It was definitely, the Ghostbusters song, of course. Uh, and number two, like the music didn't hold up as like my kids still listen to Ghostbusters now. Ray Park Jr. and like I'll still listen to it now. The on part two, none of those songs were as memorable, but watching it, I was like, oh my god, this is my jam! Like this is so awesome. And I will say, when my kids watched all three of them with me, we watch them, around Halloween time every year, but I saved them this time. Um, and we watched all three of them, and they wanted to put in number two again. They were like, "Let's watch number two again," and I was like, "Yeah, there you go." Like it's
Yeah.
just it hits harder, with kids. So Raj says, I hate the 2016 Ghostbusters so much that I refuse to pose next to the 2016 Ghostbusters car. Pose next to the others when I was at the Sony Pictures Studios tour in LA. I do not have that strong of feelings about it.
Dude, that's a lot of hate,
Uh,
Raj. That's a lot of hate, dude. It's not healthy. Not healthy. I'm getting my screens here in order. Well, let's move on to the next Ghostbusters.
the next movie.
It's Ghostbusters, bro. They were. All right, there we go. So let's talk about, boom, Ghostbusters Afterlife. Ghostbusters
Spoilers.
Afterlife.
Spoilers.
We're going to do spoilers, mild spoilers. Or maybe we'll just let her rip. We got, what, 4 people here?
I mean, there's not
really much to spoil. We can talk about this and talk about the without giving plot spoilers.
Right.
We'll just say this real quick. The villain of this movie, Zool and Gozer, are back. That's what we'll say.
We'll just say this. They Force Awakened the shit out of this. This is just Force Awakened for Ghostbusters. They took the first movie and they redid it. That's
Pretty much. They even got Evo. Yeah. Evo, the guy that designed the building like a needle for supernatural stuff. He's the guy who was in the glass case in the in the mine.
Yeah, they just took the first movie and they redid it, for a new generation. Like that's what they did. They just Force Awakened it, and that's what kind of pissed me off a little bit.
Here's Here's the synopsis. After members of the team of scientists, Harold Ramis, Dan Aykroyd, Bill Murray, lose their cushy job. Well, that's the wrong Ghostbusters, dummy. I needed Ghostbusters Afterlife. I started reading. Yeah, I'm like, this sounds familiar. When a single mother and her 2 children move to a new town, they soon discover they have a connection to the original Ghostbusters and the secret legacy their grandfather left behind. And that's what this movie is about. You what?
No, continue.
You just took your glasses off like this is getting serious.
Dramatic effect.
Omar Diaz says, "What's up?" He can't hear us because he's at the bar. Sup, Curtis, longtime friend. We'll make sure to catch up when it's more quiet. All right.
What's up, Omar? How you doing, man?
So we'll give you the basics on this movie. Egon's daughter has 2 kids, and she is pissed off at Egon because she's never met him, and she's broke and he dies, and she ends up moving out to his house out in the country, and has kind of got a chip on her shoulder because he was never around. And the Ghostbusters are kind of mad at Egon because he kind of bailed out and was never around. Took a bunch of equipment and left and all that. He tried to warn them that the end of the world was happening. There was a bunch of stuff going down. They didn't listen, and he went out and did what he had to do, and the whole world was pissed. Come to find out, the whole time he had everybody's interest in mind, and he sacrificed his own happiness and family and everything else to save the world, and that's what it boils down to. And you get what I call a hodgepodge of Stranger Things meets some other kind of thing with some Paul Rudd thrown in, and it ends up being a fun movie. It's not in New York City, which is part of the cast of Ghostbusters, if you think about it. I enjoyed it. I don't know why you're making that face, Curtis. I thought it was a fun movie. I thought it was cool. I liked seeing there was a lot of fan service. There was a lot of Easter eggs all the way through the movie, and that's what I was enjoying seeing.
There.
And then, surprise, cover your ears if you don't hear this spoiler, the ghost of Egon is helping out. And communicating with his granddaughter, and then daughter finds out he did care the whole time. There's a whole collage of things where he was keeping track the whole time of his daughter, and he's playing chess with the granddaughter, and then the Ghostbusters show up at the end, and to help save the day when the shit hits a fan and it's all going down, and the nerdy granddaughter is there responsible for all of this, for saving the world and picking up where her grandpa left off. And the ghost shows up and helps out, and you have a reunion of the Ghostbusters with dead Egon helping his grandkid out, and it's a very touching moment. They did a really cool. I don't know if they did what do they call it? A deep fake and then ghostified the deep fake or what, but they did a really cool job with the graphics and stuff and making him look real, because he's passed away years ago, so it's like it was a touching ending. Like, the ending was really touching, and it was cool to see them show up, and it's like, you know what, these guys are all old. You could see they're all old. They're not going to be out busting ghosts, but when they made the call and it's time to show up, their old asses showed up. And I don't expect to see any new Ghostbusters movies coming up with these old timers. But I'm glad they showed up for one last hurrah and were able to do this. And now you got a nerdy granddaughter who's 12, and maybe they're going to pick it up and continue as what the film companies are hoping to do is rebrand this thing as a young Stranger Things nerdy, fun, quirky movie, and that's what they're trying to do. I think this bridges the gap between both of those things. Like a new generation thing. No, this isn't the same old Ghostbusters that we know and love. This is a curious kid who's trying to discover her family history, and then finding a threat that's real and having to save the world with the help of her dead grandpa. That's what this movie's about. Go ahead, Curtis. You're chomping at the bit.
All right. So a lot of things that Clint said were true. Like the endings were touching. The inclusion of Egon was very. I did enjoy a lot of that. Now, here's the deal, though. If you're going to watch a Ghostbusters movie, this is not a freaking Ghostbusters movie. The 2016 version was more of a Ghostbusters movie than this was a Ghostbusters movie. Give me that face. But Ghostbusters is a comedy, okay? I don't think I laughed once in this movie. Now, I will say that, what's her name? McKenna Grace, the lead girl, is spectacular. She is fucking awesome. I want to see her in many more things. And if she carries another Ghostbusters movie, I'll probably go see it. The little girl that
she was
plays
great.
Egon's friend,
Yeah.
she was spectacular.
I love the wink when she said that I'm not just being obtuse, and it was a really deadpan. It was like, is that a joke? She's like, that's why I winked.
Totally. I mean, she totally nailed it. But this is a fucking family drama. This is not a comedy. It's not something you're going to go and you're going to laugh. And that's the thing. If you're trying to bridge the gap between old and new viewers, my kids aren't going to watch this and be like, oh, this is so much fun. I love this. Like, there's hardly any ghosts in it, and it's just this family drama. And if you watch any of Jason Reitman's other stuff, like it makes sense. You know, he did Juno, he did Thank You for Smoking, he did a bunch of other stuff, but those are the ones that I'd seen. And they're great movies. This like when I walked out of the theater, I was very meh or like whatever about this movie. But the more I think about it, the more it really bothers me. It was not a Ghostbusters movie at all. It wasn't just I don't know what it was supposed to be. And then that's the thing, they Force Awakened it. It was just tell the same story, you know, and try to get new viewers on board.
But it wasn't the same story.
It was Gozer and Zool coming back.
It was the
And
same. It was the
why in
same
God's
threat. It was
yeah, why in God's name wouldn't Ray and Venkman believe him when he was like, "Hey, Gozer and Zool are coming back, but they're coming back in Oklahoma." They're just like, "Nah, fuck you, go to hell, you piece of shit."
That's a
Like,
good point.
what? It doesn't make any sense. If he was like, "Well, Zazuzu is coming and we have to go fight them in Oklahoma," they're like, "What are you talking about?" That would have been different, you know. But they're like, "Oh, we already know about Gozer and Zool. Let's go to Oklahoma and help fight him," you know, or her or it, you know. It just and they have to do this in every Ghostbusters movie. They have to like we talked about how the first one was a starting a business story and it made sense, and then they have to make them downtrodden in the second one. Like, okay, and then they have to like in the third, like, and they completely disregard part two. They said that it was a sequel to both, but there is no mention of part two in that movie. Like, they brought the fucking Statue of Liberty to life, and like kids don't know who these people are. Like, what the fuck is going on here?
Yeah.
Like, even it doesn't. It's just. Never mind.
Well, Paul Rudd. Paul Rudd knew what the trap was.
Well, yeah, he was like, "Oh, it was a nice replica."
Proton pack. He knew all that stuff. It's
Yeah,
just that
but,
these are
like
kids. I was going to say, have you ever talked to kids? You teach kids.
Yeah.
No, they don't know
They
stuff from 15 years ago. They're like, "What's
Yeah.
that?" Which is weird.
No, but
But
if you say the cultural capital of the world twice, like, you're going to be known. Like, you will not fade into obscurity. Like, even if you wanted to, Egon, you're not going away. Like,
you've got a great point on the drama movie, not comedy. I did notice that the only time it shifts into that mode is when it's like, okay, now it's time for the gatekeeper and the keymaster to join forces,
right.
a la become familiar with each other. You know what I mean? Once it gets to that point, it's almost like that's an uncomfortable subject for us
Right.
to approach in this movie, this family movie. That they didn't have
Yeah.
any problem approaching in the old movies, but this is weird. So all of a sudden, Homegirl ends up like in a gold dress, and Paul Rudd ends up like, hey, and they're in the desert. That was the only time that it got corny and campy, like old Ghostbusters, where it turned into a comedy. Did you notice that? Like the rest of the
I
time,
did.
yeah, because all of a sudden I was watching the part, and she's like, okay, basically it's like, okay, it's time to have intercourse. You know what I mean? Is what
Yeah.
is what it. We got to bring the new. We gotta make a new vessel for Gozer, and so like they show up together, and it's like it gets awkward all of a sudden, and I almost feel like she did some like magic where she just like
Yeah.
switched into a
And
different.
she had
like,
the Sigourney Weaver. She had the Sigourney Weaver outfit on.
yeah,
Like,
and that's like I guess that was a fan service thing or something, but it was weird. And I was like, well, and I remember saying, well, that is kind of campy and funny, like the old stuff. But that's the
but did you
only.
laugh at any other point? Like,
No, I didn't laugh at any of it really,
anything? Like,
I did. It was fun to enjoy the marshmallow guys. That's the Baby Yoda of the movie that they put in the Walmart
yeah.
and stuff. But no, there was definitely not any comedy.
Like, my kid, but that's what I mean. My kids were watching the other ones, just like, oh yeah, oh wow. Like, they're not gonna watch this movie and be like, and they want to see it. Like, my son wants to see it because he knows the Ghostbusters, and I'll take him to see it. But he's not gonna enjoy this movie. He's gonna sit there and be like, oh god, like, all right, where's the
Well,
fucking ghost?
the
It takes
fun
like
of
an hour for the ghost to get in the like.
The fun of
Like,
this movie, though, is knowing the old movies and looking for the Easter eggs and looking for the things. And I'll say this: the sound was fantastic in this movie. whenever they turn on the proton packs, and that's another cast member of these movies,
For sure.
of all of them. When you hear,
Yeah.
you know that sound. When you
Mhm.
hear those proton packs turn on, you know it, and that's a cool thing. Another one, Ecto-1 siren. When you like it, you know, I remember first seeing the trailer for Afterlife, and it's Ecto-1 going through the fields and stuff, and I
Mhm.
got the same feeling that I got when I saw there was a really cool trailer of the Millennium Falcon, like flying and doing all kinds of cool stuff when the sequel trilogies came out.
When Force Awakens came out,
Yeah, and I was like, dude,
it's
when
the same fucking thing.
yeah.
Like, it's
When
the
you
sa
see that's what they did. I agree with you on that. And you see the Millennium Falcon, and you're just like, oh shit, this is gonna be incredible. It's the same feeling when I saw Ecto-1 in the trailer. I was like, yeah, this is
But
gonna be
Force
badass.
Awakens did it better because at least Force Awakens was a Star Wars movie. This wasn't even a Ghostbusters movie. Like, if I woulda had fun with it, like and I woulda went out of there, like, laughing and having fun,
But
like, that's fine.
lore wise, it was a Ghostbusters movie. It had all of the elements
Well, you could
in the
say,
lore.
yeah, but you could
I
have
mean, it
written
had the
anything, and
Ghostbusters
if it
all in the movie.
so did 2016. Well, Winston went in there, but, I mean, was he? I don't think he was.
I don't know, but
But I'm just saying, like, 2016 felt more like a Ghostbusters movie, like, it was at least, funny and, they were trying to it was rebooting the same story, it wasn't an addition, but, like, this one was just, like, it
this
was
is
some family
passing the
drama it was some family drama that Jason Reitman had written, and then they crammed Ghostbusters stuff into there. Like, that's
it's
what happened.
passing the baton to the
Yeah,
next generation.
and all the people that were pissed off, like, "A bunch of girl Ghostbusters? Oh my god." Well, guess what? Now you got a movie with a bunch of kid Ghostbusters. You know what? The real Ghostbusters barely in the movie because it's a bunch of fucking kids who know how to use fucking cyclotrons, and
She's
all of a sudden
super smart, dude. She's super
she is,
smart.
but then every other kid in the movie picks one up and is like, "Let's go catch some fucking ghosts." Like,
Uh,
she
also,
is super smart.
how long is it gonna take that podcast kid to open the trap? You know, I'm like, kid, open the
Yeah.
fucking trap. Um, yeah. The That was another thing that bothered me, and I've been noticing this in a lot of movies lately. One of them was Army of Thieves,
Mhm.
and another one was this one where you got podcasts and stuff. I'm starting to see all of these podcast references in movies
Mhm.
to where like I'm like, dude, am I a meme? I have a YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe. Have I turned into a meme where now it's like where this is a moment in time to where it's like, dude, you remember when everybody had a podcast? Everyone? You know what I mean? I'm like, it makes me feel awkward a little bit every
Uh,
time I see that in movies, but
Maybe. I don't think it's going away though. So
I don't either. Yeah. So you not enjoy the movie, or are you just saying this isn't what I signed up for?
it's definitely not what I signed up for. But it's like like I said, when I watched it, I was like, well, that was okay. But just the more I thought about it, I was just like, man, it really fucking bothered me. Like it wasn't like they didn't even try to make a Ghostbusters movie. It just seemed like I don't know.
Well, this is
Eh,
more of a spin-off, I would say, than even a reboot. You know what I mean?
but no, and it's not a reboot, it's a sequel.
Yeah.
And they're like you made a good point. They are trying to bridge the gap. They're trying like they got this IP and they want it to keep rolling, baby.
Hmm.
But this is and that's the thing. I just watched them all with my kids, all three before, and my kids enjoyed the shit out of all three of them. They were like, the first one, the second one, the third one, or 2016, and like they liked them all. And like
Well,
they're not gonna sit through this family drama for
they don't
Muncher.
have to now. They've already once you get through the first one, this is the process of passing the baton. The daughter is not the mom of Phoebe. Her mom
Mhm.
is not upset with Egon anymore because now she's seen the collage and knows that he didn't abandon her. There was a whole lot of harsh feelings about angry at her dad that whole movie, and like now that's been resolved. He showed up.
And
They hugged. They saved the day. Now they have the proton packs. We still don't know what's going to happen with the sheriff. The sheriff, they broke in and stole Ecto-1. They're probably all going to be in juvenile detention for the next several years because they contain these ghosts and they have no way to prove that they were real unless they release them. You know what I mean? What are you going to tell the
It,
jury? You fucking saved the world. It's okay. I stole my car from a police impound. Uh,
and here's the deal too, though. Like you had Lewis and Dana, or uh, Rick Moranis and Sigourney Weaver in the original, who were Zool and or the Keymaster and the Gatekeeper.
right.
Okay, spectacular characters that you cared about. You had Paul Rudd in this one, if he wasn't Paul Rudd, you wouldn't care about that character at all. But the mom is the shittiest person in the history of the fucking world. She's telling her daughter not to be herself. She's like, oh, you're into science? That's lame. And like her mom was just fucking shitty.
She's
Like,
damaged because her dad abandoned her, man.
well, great way to damage your kids too. Continue the cycle,
Yeah.
baby. Like,
She
I
doesn't-
guess, like,
That's how life is. People,
I mean, but she just sucked. It's like, I don't care about this character. Let her be a fucking demon dog. Like, we're
Yeah.
done here. Like, let Winston raise those kids. Like I just
hopefully she's now that she knows the truth about her dad, she's repaired a little bit. But what we do have to look forward to or not to look forward to is that now that they've passed the baton and they've done all that, they've done all the explaining, we know the deal. Now if they do another Ghostbusters, they don't have to have all that drama. They've already had it. They had to put the old guys to bed and start the new thing. And now they could still pick up the phone and maybe do a phone call cameo. Hey, what do you suggest we do? Let me look at Tobin's Spirit Guide. Okay, blah 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 blah. You know what I mean? Like they could do a Zoom call with Ray in the future, and where and or they could just be like, yeah, let me look on TobinSpiritGuide.com. You know what I mean, or whatever. But I have a feeling that there'll be more Ghostbusters, but they actually get to be Ghostbusters in the future, and
but who,
which
like,
will be
that's
like
saying
Stranger Things Ghostbusters.
Yeah, that's what I mean. How's it going to continue? These are all kids. The other ones were at least 30-year-old men. Like, eh,
Hello, Matt.
hello. It doesn't. Where are we going from here? We're gonna have the kid Ghostbusters. Like, that's
No,
fine,
next.
I guess. But
Matt, we're doing spoilers for Ghostbusters Afterlife. So if you haven't seen that yet, I would mute your phone or computer or whatever. What are they doing on number 2, Ghostbusters Afterlife 2? I would say Vigo the Carpathian comes back.
they might. Yeah, you know what? You're right.
I know. Somebody
I
found a
mean,
painting.
exactly right. Yeah, Oscar, and then Oscar, because they haven't brought in Oscar yet. Oscar comes back and he's like, "I'm fucking you up for taking me as a baby."
Yes. Oh, dude, Oscar could come back. That's exactly what they'll do. I care. You called it. I was going to say I'm calling it. You just called it, and I'm giving you credit. I bet you I don't think it'll be the same Oscar because
well, no.
sometimes child actors end up growing up to be like,
oh, that's such a beautiful baby, and he's like, give me a roll.
So we'll see. But that would be so good that somehow the Vigo stuck with him. Actually, you know what I mean? Because they were like they were merging.
Shut up, dude. That's gonna be a better movie than they're gonna fucking make.
Yeah,
you're already writing a better movie than they're gonna make.
He's been like just hanging in the back, like
hiding inside of him,
inside of him, waiting for the the year of the equinox.
They could show Dana and Peter at parent teacher conferences where it's like he just lashes out sometimes, and I don't know why.
Yes, exactly.
Like, damn, that'd be a good movie, but they're not gonna do it. That could have been this movie.
Dude, I gotta call Kurt McLeod, see if I can get him to write this movie for me.
Like, he just lashes out sometimes, and I don't know why, and blah blah blah, and then
like a Damien kind of a thing.
Yeah, and then like it shows him through the years, and there's like little rivulets of like the slime flowing under his bed and stuff like that. Like, oh damn, that'd be a good movie.
Yeah.
instead of like,
He gets
"Here,
a
here's some
cold
kids
and blows his
kids in a"
nose, but it's not.
yeah,
And then
it's a
and then
pink slime, yeah,
the hanky starts dancing around.
yeah.
Oh man, dude, I think we got to write this script.
Yeah, we just made a better movie than fucking they put out in theaters.
We could quit saying that, or they're going to be pissed at us. If we pitch this to Dan Aykroyd, he's going to be like, "Yep, I saw your podcast. Go fuck yourself." Yeah.
Okay, then we'll write a family drama about Peter and Dana's, you know, custody battle over Oscar, and then throw some Ghostbusters stuff in. Then it'll be perfect.
Yeah. Well, look, it's no secret that I like movies, and if it's not if it's not a terrible movie, I'm pretty easy
It was not terrible.
It was not bad.
terrible.
It was not bad. But as far as Ghostbusters movies, this was definitely something different, and I definitely made the joke of Stranger Things, but it's like you got a young cast
It is.
doing an adventure where the parents are out of the picture most of the time, and that's a whole formula of 80s movies and anyway, a lot of movies, and Stranger Things use that formula. It's like you occasionally see the grown-ups, but it's mostly the kids
But
dealing
that
with the
was
problem.
in the 80s. That was real. Like we went out for like the whole day and you didn't see your parents. Like, like that was real. Like nowadays, that's not. I don't know.
That's
Like,
not real. Kids aren't even allowed to go to the check the mail. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
what if they broke a nail or something? It's
yeah.
weird. Yeah, weird times we live in.
But it's funny you said that too, because whenever I was driving home from it, I was like, this is like a fucking good Netflix movie. Like it was. This should not have been like a like this would have been an okay. Like if I watched this on Netflix, I'd been like, man, that was pretty damn good, But like I was driving home from it, I was like this, like that was this, like what the fuck happened here? Like again, yeah, it wasn't this bad movie, it wasn't some terrible movie, but it was like it just like, and it's the problem that with a lot of the movies that I've seen, including Eternals and blah blah blah, a lot of things. I don't want to go back into all that, but it didn't know what it wanted to be. It was like this drama, and then it was like, but here's some Ghostbusters stuff, and it's like, have you ever seen Ghostbusters? It's this fucking funny ass movie that has like ghosts, actual ghosts in it. There was like 2 ghosts in this. Like it, ay, ay, ay.
We're gonna. It's not your fault. It's not your fault.
Did
It's
have
not your fault.
PTSD for like bad movies.
You'll need it if you see Red Notice.
Oh,
Did you see that one?
I like The Rock. I saw you talking about that. I like The Rock. I like Ryan Reynolds, but I saw that and I was like, I have zero desire to see this movie. I'll probably
it's
throw it on.
amusing, but it's kind of a heist kind of a movie with double crossing. Like you'll get an Ocean's whatever movie, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And then like somebody will show up and steal the thing before they get there, and they're like, there's all these competing criminals doing this thing. And but
I've seen that movie before. I've seen
Yeah,
Ryan
you've seen the
Reynolds
movie
do his thing
before.
before. I've
What
seen
you get a
Rock do his
lot of
thing before.
what you get a lot of is the Ryan Reynolds smart aleck fast talking commentary that is always fun to watch. Like Ryan
Yeah.
Reynolds was great, but it's not anything that he was just being Ryan Reynolds. It was like a
Yeah. All right, here's this again.
yeah, it's that exactly. But I back that. I like him. I think he's great. So, dude, and I said this like Circle of Time. If you like fantasy stuff,
Wheel of Time. Wheel of Time.
Wheel of Time. That's what I meant. Yeah, Wheel of Time. It just came out, and the first 3 episodes are out, and it's really.
I do want to
good.
check that out.
It's
Yeah, I
really
haven't seen it.
good. Like if you
Well,
if you're into Lord of the Rings, kind of stuff, it's just really good.
Well, I just started rewatching Mandalorian, so I'm gonna
Hell yeah.
wait on Wheel of Time. But now my wife wants to watch it with me, so I'm on that schedule
Oh yeah.
now.
I know the schedule. Dude, I'll tell you what, I didn't know what to expect, and I watched it, and I was like, dude, this show is good. Like, it was good. It was like...
I mean, it's everything I've always enjoyed. It's just like I'm on everybody's schedule because everybody's like, this is good. No, I want to keep... I'm like, let's watch another one. They're like, nah, I'm kind of tired. All right, well, okay.
Yeah, it was way better than a lot of the fantasy stuff that I've seen on streaming. I'll say that. So it gives me a lot of hope since it's Amazon. It gives me a lot of hope for the Lord of the Rings stuff that they put out because they're going to be doing that also.
Right,
It's going to
and
be
that
Amazon, and this just kind of shows you, hey, they're capable of putting out some good stuff. This isn't going to be Netflix that's putting out some like 71, 68.9, just barely passing. You know what I mean? Like that, like yeah.
yeah. Well, I think I think that the Lord of the Rings thing is going to be good. I just don't know where they're going to go with it or what. Who knows? We'll see. But it, it's kind of like beating a dead horse. It's already great. Just leave it alone. But I don't know. I've said
Look,
that.
they need subscribers, man, and they own it, so they're going to
I
use it.
know.
They're
I
gonna
know.
use
That's
that.
what I'm saying.
Yeah, they own that
Like,
IP. But what's exciting is like if they just quit rebooting, like don't give us another Spider-Man and then another like expand the stories, like expand on it, like give us some more cool stuff. And I'm not even necessarily saying like what's like Game of Thrones is doing this now. They're doing all kinds of prequels, what happened before and stuff, and I
mhm.
think that's going to be cool and fun.
Well, that's what I mean. Spread the story out, and they could have. Oh, never mind. They could have spent this whole freaking Ghostbusters movie showing, the Ghostbusters like teaching somebody else like how to be Ghostbusters. Like ghosts just don't go away because you got rid of Gozer. And having them travel across the country, go to different places. It could have been a whole, and then it was just like this thing. I don't know.
It was good,
Like where
dude.
the it wasn't bad, I'll say
It
that.
wasn't
I guess I
terrible.
get I guess that means it was good, but it wasn't like
It's just not what it wasn't the
it's
Ghostbusters
not a
movie you wanted.
Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not like
I
he
thought I thought for sure we were going to see Paul Rudd with a proton pack with a boom bum
right. He's in every like all the previews are Paul Rudd. Like
Yeah,
you watch the trailers and it's just Paul Rudd, Paul Rudd. I thought he was like Egon's son or something like that.
I did too.
Or
I really did too. And like how cool would that be though? With Paul
yeah.
Rudd walking in with a turning on the
Yeah.
proton pack. All right, hose them
Yeah.
and like doing some of the fun stuff with the music that's fun and giving you that whole
Yeah.
fun vibe. They didn't do. You're definitely right. They didn't do. This was a dramatic approach, much like
And
Eternals was a dramatic approach.
and neither of them succeeded.
Not fun like Shang-Chi. Oh,
My son would say that Shang-Chi was fun. I would not, but my son would. Uh, and actually, I'm gonna rewatch it. It's streaming on Disney Plus. I'm gonna give it a second chance.
cool.
So I will always admit when I'm wrong. We'll just see if that happens. But yeah, yeah. I mean, you could have done so many things with this movie, with.
I think it's a setup, man. For
Grumble,
it,
grumble, grumble.
they've set the foundation for the new franchise. Let's see what they do on the next movie.
Fair enough.
Here comes Lord Vigo.
Yes, bring back Vigo. Bring back Vigo. That's what I mean. If you're gonna Force Awakens it, then it is like, that's that. No, that was what I was about to say. Like, if they had said like it was some other thing, like that thing, why wouldn't Ray and Peter like? He's like, oh, he can go to hell, blah blah. Like, it's Gozer. Go like this is like the like focal point of your life.
Yeah, relatable threat. You get it.
Yes. Yeah. And he's like, well, look, I found all this evidence and like why you've listened to Egon about everything in the past. And it's like, oh, well, on this thing that we know about. Oh, he's wrong about that. Like, fuck him. He can go live in Oklahoma and die alone. Like, that
He
doesn't make any
burns in
sense.
hell. Is like he died last week. Oh snap!
Yeah. Like,
Too
it
soon?
doesn't make any fucking sense. Like if it had been, if he was like, well, this giant fucking grub worm is gonna come out of the ground and it's gonna like have all these demons worshiping it, and they're like, okay, Egon's gone off the deep end. Like that's weird. Like that's different. But like this is what you know.
Yeah, it's not a new threat. This is it. That is weird. I didn't even consider that. Like, why wouldn't they believe him?
I don't know. But
did you did you get up and march out of there like right when the credits came on? Because
I did. I looked up the after credits, but I was like, I'm fucking like I figured there probably would be after credits, but I was like, I'm not waiting for this shit. And I walked out.
Well, I was sitting there watching I was sitting there watching and reading the names and stuff, and then I saw Sigourney Weaver, and I'm like, "What? I didn't see Sigourney Weaver. I wonder if that's when I ran to the restroom really quick because I ran across the hall,
Mhm.
used the family restroom because it was like right in the like, and
Yeah.
then ran right back and like, and I'm like, how did I miss Sigourney Weaver? And then boop, they cut to mid credit scene with Sigourney Weaver.
Mm.
And it was Sigourney Weaver and
Right.
Peter Venkman, and they were hanging out together, they were doing the ESP test with the cards,
Mhm.
and then he kept getting him right, but then he would say something stupid in real life that would get him shocked, and she was shocking him, so that was pretty fun. Uh, and then she's like, "Wait a minute, are these marked? Did you have these things marked?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then she shocks him, so it was pretty cool. It's cool to see older them still hanging out together. So
Well, and I'd read up on that, and apparently they have wedding rings in the, scene, um, and there's no mention of Oscar, and that's me, like, they think of if you can, think of any mention of Ghostbusters because the description is and I looked it up, like, did they ignore Ghostbusters 2? And the description is it's a direct sequel to both Ghostbusters, but there was no mention of Ghostbusters 2, period. Like, I I
weird.
I I couldn't find one, and,
Not one reference, huh?
I mean, like, not that I can think of, and not that I could notice. They talk about him because even podcast says, "Yeah, they fought a 100-foot, marshmallow man, blah, blah," and nobody's like, "Well, they brought the Statue of Liberty to life," like, this and that and the other, like, uh, so, unless they're gonna reference that in the future, like, it seems like it's just a direct sequel to the first one, and Harold Ramis and Dan Aykroyd wrote the second one, so I don't know why they'd be,
Yeah.
like, against that one, like, it was fucking good. Like,
Yeah, it's awesome.
yeah, so, I don't know, but, yeah, they gotta bring Oscar back. He should be the protagonist of the next movie.
I think so too. Oscar is carrying around Vigo the Carpathian and
Yes.
for years and years.
Get James to talk to Kurt, and we're on this right now.
We're writing this. I'm tr- I'm trying to look in my phone to
We'll
see
give
if
people the movie they want.
yes. Dude, I got nothing on news. I was like, I don't have any news. J.K. Rowling banned from Harry Potter anniversary special for past transphobic comments. Enough said.
Alright.
We don't need to talk about that.
Yeah, alright.
Eh, yeah. Drama,
We
drama, drama. Spider-Man trailer was good. Blah blah
Mhm.
blah. Everybody's already talking about that. Any,
Yeah.
anything else you were gonna say? Something?
Nah, actually, the Spider-Man trailer made me a little less excited. I don't
Yeah.
know why. I just like, it confirmed a lot of or it seemed like it confirmed a lot of the things that I had already thought. It kept just I don't know, didn't it just made me a little less excited, the second trailer, I don't know why,
Yeah. I'm
but,
like,
alright, like, yeah, you know, we kind of and that's the thing, if they don't have like, they're building it up, like, unless they come out and go, "Look, they're not gonna be in this fucking movie. Just stop, it's not gonna happen." Like, if this movie doesn't have those fucking Spider-Man, it's gonna be a piece of shit, like, regardless. Like, people are gonna be like, "No, fuck it. This movie fucking sucked." Like, because 'cause it's got so much hype right now, unless they get out there and go like, "We are saying straight up right now, this is not happening."
uh,
Like, it's people are gonna be like, "That movie fucking sucked."
unless they were doing like weird like like static, and you could like see into other dimensions, and you just get like a quick flash, like, oh, there's Toby.
That
Oh,
would piss me
there's
off even
yeah.
more.
I'm
No,
like, dude, they
that
were in
would
it.
like
They were there. They were like,
uh, that would be yeah, yeah, it's time to start lighting fires. Like, yeah.
I think yeah, they'll jump in to this universe, grab their guy, and then take their villain back into their universe, and then they'll close it down.
God, that would piss me off so much. That would make me so mad. Yeah. I mean, I think it's gonna be awesome. It's not gonna live up to everybody's standards, but yeah, if they have what the preview I don't wanna say promises, but fuck, I mean, God, like, they gotta get out there and be like, "This is not happening," if it's not happening, because otherwise it's gonna be a big disappointment. Like,
I'm
literally, I am saying right now, like, I as on my job, this is not going to happen. Like,
I'm expecting. I don't know, man. Part of me thinks, yeah, they'll be in there, and then part of me thinks, dude, they're not gonna show up, and everybody, it's gonna be the Y2K that never happened, the end of all technology and destruction.
that's fine. Sony's gonna fuck itself over big time if it doesn't happen. Like,
Well, I think
you know,
Morbius is gonna be cool. I keep seeing the ads for that, and
yeah,
that looks
I
good
saw
too.
the preview for that. I think it'll be good. It looks like it's gonna be good.
Well, cool, man. Well, let's shut it down. The guys, I need you guys to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to help out the channel, tell your friends about us. Hit the notification bell, and we'll let you know about future live streams. And all right, and that should do it, Curtis. I'm gonna go ahead and go ahead and sign us off, and we're gonna stop exactly at 59 or at 2 hours exactly on the dot. So here we go. Outro video. Thanks, guys. We'll see you next week.